Good morning. I'm Peter Hurst. I'm the President and CEO of the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council. Welcome to our 2021 edition of the Business Opportunity Conference. We are having a 3-day virtual conference this year. Today, we will feature 2 panels. The first panel, Commemorating Triumphs and Transforming Futures, will feature 2 different types of success stories: corporate to MBE and MBE to MBE. We will have Boston Children's Hospital and DRB Facility Services share a great story that began in 2018. We also have 2 MBEs, the Panther Group and Saisystems, who will share a story of an MBE buying from another MBE. This is a story that needs to be a more significant part of the future of our council and our network. The second panel, Bridging a World of Opportunity, will feature 3 of our corporate members who operate in the business to consumer space, 2 who will be sharing their expertise, and 1 who will be moderating. Our second day will feature a fireside chat between our own Donna Latza-Gittins and Andy Williams. Donna is the founder and CEO of More Advertising. Andy is an entrepreneur and television personality who is a former Marine who runs a very successful veteran-owned business and MBE, Rehab Warriors. We will then have Create Connections, Accelerate Growth, which is another round of success stories with a panel of MBEs and corporate members. This panel will feature Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts and W3R, and also Eastern Bank and ACP Facility Services. Day 3 of the conference will feature concurrent meetings of the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council Corporate Roundtable and an MBE Roundtable. And then we will end with a joint networking session. So let's get started, as we need to get something done.
Today, I'm declaring a state of emergency in Massachusetts. This declaration will give our administration more flexibility to respond to this evolving outbreak.
Thank you for calling Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts.
More than 90% of our company is working remotely now. We've really been focusing on our members, making sure they can get the care they need when they need it.
Mental health is a wave of this pandemic.
It's our responsibility to make sure that everybody has opportunity.
I can definitely help you with that.
Racism is a public health issue, a public health emergency.
I think we'll look back at this moment as a time when those values really became so visible to the community and to our customers and members.
What if we just made spacesuits and outfitted almost every astronaut since Freedom 7? That'd be a big deal. What if we just invented modern aviation and made the most advanced engines in history? What if we just created missile defense and guidance systems used to protect the freedoms we hold dear? If we just did any one of those things, it'd be pretty special. But when the companies responsible for it all bring together bold leadership, we accomplish even more. Like building eco-aviation solutions, developing contactless airport technology, and creating real-time satellite imaging to enable instantaneous identification of assets on the ground. Nearly 200,000 employees working together to create safer, more connected flight, intelligent space systems, and smarter defense. And of course, we still make spacesuits. Raytheon Technologies, the future of aerospace and defense.
LSI NextGen is a global software solutions provider with over 20 years of experience, especially in the pharmaceutical industry. LSI works alongside 4 of the top 10 pharma companies in the US, reselling ERP like SAP, Oracle and SAS, at unbeatable prices. The only MBE partner for niche software such as Viva, Cinity and Qualtrics. And an exclusive data provider for clinical trials. Their innovative in-house IP products include a platform to manage recalls, a dedicated marketplace for diverse suppliers, end-to-end management of sustainability, D&I and supplier diversity. A winner of SAP Partner of the Year and Merck Economic Supplier of the Year, LSI NextGen is one of the few value-added partners that give companies the advantage of diversity over their competition. LSI NextGen. Innovate, value, grow.
Good morning. I'm Peter Hurst, the President and CEO of the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council, and we have a great start to our 2021 Business Opportunity Conference. The theme of our conference is Together We Rise. And today we have panelists who are going to describe very successful business relationships that they develop over the course of time. One set of relationships is traditional. It involves one of our corporate partners and one of our certified MBEs. And the second relationship is probably going to be the wave of the future, because we have one of our MBEs who is selling their goods and services to another MBE. MBE to MBE commerce is something that we need to embrace and applaud. And so we have an example of that here today. So let me start by introducing our panelists, a very esteemed group. We have Cogdell from the Panther group. That is a diverse staffing company. Sion has got an MBA from Iona College in New York, and he's a certified public accountant. He is a very talented individual, and by way of full disclosure, he is the chair of the NBIC. He's also on the board of GNE. He's on the finance committee and the executive committee. Welcome, Sion.
Thank you, Peter.
Next, I want to introduce Jerry Epps. Jerry is the Supplier Diversity Program Manager at Boston Children's Hospital, and he has over 30 years of experience in supply chain. He is also the hospital's capital equipment buyer, and he manages a GHX vendor mate program for Boston Children's Hospital. Jerry is very active in the community in terms of service, and we welcome him today. Jerry, welcome.
Thank you.
Next, I want to introduce Anthony Samuels. Anthony is the founder of DRB Facility Services, and he's been president and CEO of the firm since its inception in 1993. He's attended the University of Massachusetts Management Program and the Tuck Executive Education Program. He serves on a number of nonprofit boards, and he gives generously of his time as a mentor to other business owners and youth in the greater Boston area. Welcome, Anthony. And Anthony is also one of my board members in terms of full disclosure. And finally, I'd like to welcome and introduce Chirag Modi. He's the Vice President for Technology Services at Saisystems, one of our certified MBEs. He's responsible for leading the sales, delivery, and operations of Saisystems Technology Division. Prior to joining Saisystems, he was an entrepreneur, so he really understands this game. He graduated from Mumbai University in India. He has been a valued member of Saisystems, and he's been a great partner to us. So welcome, gentlemen. And
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you in advance for taking the time today to share these great stories, which I think will educate and really inspire our audience. I'd like to start by giving the MBEs on the panel an opportunity just to take a couple of minutes and tell us what you do. Anthony, why don't you start?
Thanks, Peter. My name is Anthony Samuels. Peter did the introduction. I'm the president, CEO of DRB Facility Services. We provide janitorial, landscaping, snow removal services to commercial companies such as Simon Properties, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Harvard Pilgrim. We're also doing a few of the colleges, Northeastern University. We're doing Emerson College and Cambridge College. So we have been in business for over 27 years. We're up to a little under 500 employees. We're, doing a revenue of over 20 million. And, I appreciate Peter having me on today. I'm always looking at how I can talk to other MBEs about how to get to this point, and even further. So, Peter, I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Anthony. You want to tell us what Saisystems does?
Sure. Thank you, Peter. Thanks, Anthony. So Saisystems Technology, I'm Chirag Modi once again, Vice President of Technology Services. So I belong to Saisystems Technology, and our purpose is to solve complex business problems through technology and collaborations. So we help our customers with application development, cybersecurity, digital automation, and data services. We headquartered here in Connecticut for over 33 years as a certified woman and minority-owned business. And we also belong to a parent called Saisystems International, which is headquartered here and has about 350 people globally. Saisystems International, besides Saisystems Technology, also has Saisystems Health, which is a managed service organization, and we also make digital solutions for skilled nursing facilities and post-acute care locations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the Panther?
Good to be here representing the Panther Group. We provide permanent temporary staffing and workforce solutions to business and industry. The industries we do serve are healthcare, academia, corporate, and the federal government. We provide staff in IT, engineering and manufacturing, accounting, finance, including tax, administrative services, amongst other verticals. We do have a secret security clearance from the Department of Defense, so we do a lot of defense-related work in engineering industries. We're in 50 states in the United States and also in Canada. We employ 5,000 to 6,000 employees annually, both internal and temp labor that we put to work. Great to be here and to talk about the project that we have engaged with Saisystems.
So thank you, Sion. So I'd like to switch gears a minute, and you have two great business relationships we want to talk about today. One between Boston Children's Hospital and DRB, and the second between the Panther Group and Saisystems. Everyone, assumes that you get certified by the Greater New England Council and contracts start raining down from the sky. We all know that's not true. So tell us, what's the real story about how did this relationship between your firms begin, and when did it begin? Jerry, you want to start?
Sure, why not? Good morning, everyone. I'm Jerry Epps. As Peter said earlier, the Supplier Diversity Program Manager at Boston Children's Hospital and capital equipment buyer. Back in 2018, when I took on this role, I remember meeting with Peter and Joanne in my office. And I said, hey, I'm here now. I'm in this role and I'm going to make it happen. Just give me some time because everything doesn't happen overnight and stuff. And so I'll fast forward it to the conference we had at Gillette Stadium. I think it was probably like September of that year. And at that conference, Peter introduced Anthony Samuels to me. And ironically, Anthony and I were sitting at the same table. But as Peter said, stuff doesn't happen like overnight when you make introductions and stuff like that. And Anthony and I, we did talk at the table at the conference and stuff like that. And I had him come to my office and I told him, hey, I'm here. This is real. I'm a part of Children's Hospital program. We call our program ACE Supplier Program, and that ACE means to attract qualified, diverse suppliers into our pool of vendors. It's also to commit increasing opportunities to qualified, diverse suppliers, and also committing to educating those diverse suppliers on how to maneuver through the healthcare industry and stuff. And Anthony and I had that meeting and we stayed in contact over a couple of years. And I said, as soon as something happens, I'm going to make sure that you're a part of our RFP process. So he would call me like every 3 or 4 months saying, hey, Jerry, don't forget about me. Which was real good because he stayed in contact. He had that gift for desperation, just put it that way. Because like you said, Peter, a lot of suppliers, not only on the diversity side, but on the non-diversity side, they want the microwave version of doing business. It's like you trying to cook a steak in a microwave oven, instead of like searing it and just putting it in a regular oven and where it can come out nice and tender and stuff. And that's how the relationship between Anthony and I manifested over the last 2.5 years. And just recently, he was a part of our RFP process. And Boston Children's Hospital is really committed to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And where we want to give suppliers a fair chance, an opportunity. And Anthony, with some guidance from me on how to proceed, like how to tackle the RFP, because I don't see the numbers. I can bring you to the table, which is what I did. I told him that. He was like, well, will I get a fair shot? Am I on an even level playing field? And I said, yes, you are. It's just that I won't see the numbers. I said to him, you know what the market bears in your industry. So you may have to come under a little bit in order to get that opportunity. And we have a new building in Brookline Place, 2 Brookline Place. And Anthony was just awarded that contract back in March, Anthony?
Yeah, we started March. Actually, April 1st was the start date. We were awarded in March.
Yes, so it's a 3-year contract. Mm-hmm. So we started talking about other things with him being awarded that contract. Is like he's the first one in that building. Mm-hmm. So there's no one else that they can compare to.
So Jerry puts a lot of pressure on me, Peter. We'll put it that way. He calls me every week and say, hey, make me look good. Don't mess me up. I say, yeah, I got it.
Because the spotlight is on DRB, but it's also on me too. So it's like, hey, I brought him to the table.
I'm used to it, Jerry. Anytime I'm awarded a contract, it's always like we're going to take that chance with an MBE. We're going to give him a shot, and we're going to watch him and make sure that he performs. I swear, all of my life, that's the story. And so, and for me, it's always been a matter of to do above and beyond what they're expecting. And, I don't want to get off. I want to get right on. I'm going to let Peter ask his question. But so often we go in and people don't expect us to perform. And so when we do perform and we go above and beyond, they look at you like, you know, all of this time I was concerned about hiring an MBE. And now this MBE has done better than the company that I had, the publicly traded $100 million company. And I'm getting better service, better quality, better pricing from the MBE. So, you know, I love it. And, you know, I get the emails all the time. So, you know, that's my job. So
Jerry, you mentioned that Anthony would call every 3 months. I know he does stay in touch. Anthony and I, you know, stay in touch once a week, either via text or phone call. So from your perspective as a corporate buyer, what's the line between persistence and annoyance?
Well, to be honest, he wasn't annoying. I mean, there is a line. There are some. I try to be honest with suppliers, be it diversity or non-diversity. It's like, hey, if there's an opportunity, I will get back to you, and it has happened on a number of occasions recently on my end. And Anthony was just very polite, and you know, he was just honest and trustworthy. You could just feel the trustworthiness of coming from him. Like, hey, if you give me this opportunity, he wasn't on me. People call you every month, every day, and it's like, we just talked yesterday.
Well, appreciate that, Jerry.
So Sion, tell us, how did the relationship with Saisystems start?
So I had the pleasure of meeting Chirag, then Dr. Ramesh at GNE events, probably 3, 4, 5 years ago. And, you know, struck up conversation, really talked about each other's business very casually, but saw some possible opportunities and possible synergies between us collaborating in some shape or form. At Panther, just take a step back, we have a 5-year strategic plan, IT focused. And Peter, if you recall, Keith was a moderator on the $1 billion roundtable that we had at Gillette some years ago. And one of the questions came up is, how do you become from $1 billion, how do you get to $10 billion? And a part of that shift discussion was, is it organic or inorganic or a combination of two or both? And the technology was really the thrust. At Panther, you know, in the staffing industry, again, technology is a big focus. We have our IT infrastructure is very robust, but we also have a lot of manual processes. So Chirag invited me to his offices. We presented on Panther, we presented on Saisystems and their capabilities, really the operations, and just blown away. Absolutely blown away it was exactly what we needed. The technology focus was perfect. Reputation, you know, really has spoken for itself. So we began to, and it was probably a slow walk from that point, Chirag. I think you'd agree. You know, business gets ahead of you, right? You're working on contracts, you're working on client issues, staffing issues. But we finally were able to sit and make it happen. And I'll let Chirag explain their process in terms of walking us through it. But Peter, just a very successful, Panther couldn't be happier, really working through the process. And it's going to make us a much stronger and more competitive organization in our marketplace.
Thank you, Sion. And yes, I would echo what Jerry said, right? GNES and MSDC has given us the access to the network. And that's how we met Sion. What we did was, as we exchanged information, we kind of learned what the needs were and how we can apply technology to enhance what they were trying to achieve. And that took a couple of iterations between our team and the Panther team. We went through different technology sets. We looked at what the use cases were. And once we found that this is something that they can definitely derive benefits from, and from that point on, like Sion said, you know, it was a quick turnaround, right? We all saw the value that it can bring to their team. We all saw what we can deliver to them. And then it just rolled into one contract. And then based on that, there was another opportunity that came through. So, we continuously looking into their business. We're looking at how we can apply technology to enhance their business. So it's more about not just a contract, but also where our services can enhance their business. It's more of a partnership than just a contract.
And Peter, if I can add too, that's exactly the point I wanted to make, Chirag, was that, we feel we have a solid business partner now with Saisystems, that, we're going to bring them along with us, in the direction we're going in, because we truly see the benefit. And to Jerry's point, though, it takes time, right? It's a process. It's not overnight. It does take time. But we both put in the time and the effort, and I think we've both achieved the results of the relationship. Yes.
So without disclosing confidential information, Sian Chirag, can you share with us what you're doing together?
Absolutely. So I'll give you it from our perspective and what our plan was, and then Chirag, you can talk about your great technology solutions. So we have a lot of manual processes, Peter. Our accounting department, just the nature of the business. Again, we 5, 6, some of your 7,000 employees that we have to process payroll for in an annual basis. So, but a lot of our, we have funding, third-party funding sources. A lot of our accounting reports are manual. So we do have an automated accounting system that's we utilize for accounting, but it's manual input of a lot of information and data. In addition to that, we have a lot of timesheets that come in. Some of our contractors utilize our internal portal to input their time. Some utilize third-party vendor systems. Some still send us timesheets the old-fashioned way, signed, and they scan or fax them to us. We wanted to automate all those processes. So our understanding internally was with Saisystems, if you have a process that is manual, that is the same process every time, right? No real variation. And I would argue that they even are very good with the variations, but with no variation, you can automate that process. So we brought it in internally. Our focus is with all of our staff, we want to make them subject matter experts, SMEs. And our philosophy internally is a lot of that has to do with L&D, right? And I always say time to think. You have to have time to think, not just to get in and get on a hamster wheel and grind, but really take time to think. We feel that the robotics, the bots that we're implementing will take the manual processes off the employee's plate, give them time to think, and actually we can redeploy those resources to more critical roles or functions within Panther. So that's really, our thinking behind that. So I'll let Chirag speak about the technology solution.
Great. Thank you, Sian. So what we are doing with Panther is, like Sian mentioned, we are trying to automate some of their business processes. So our approach was, and Panther is a great team. Their team members actually helped us show all the process steps. They demoed us the systems, how they're manually interacting with them. They have a huge volume of transactions that they do manually as well. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to implement a robotic process automation. These are like digital assistants or virtual bots. We understood the process. We are designing that whole process map. And then we are looking at every step which is manually done and how it can be automated by using the software bots. And these are two different areas. One is on the finance and accounting side, and one is on the payroll and the timekeeping side. So like Sian mentioned, they're using multiple third-party systems. They're using other proprietary applications. So a lot of effort goes in manually grabbing data from each of these sites, parsing them, converting them into a report, which could be eliminated by using this automation. And then it frees up time, or these bots are almost become like a virtual assistant to some of his key team members so that they can focus on more strategic and more critical stuff. And by using these bots, it's going to help them have quick turnaround time, save, of course, the efforts for manual tasks that they're doing. And it's also going to speed up some of the processing because these bots, they run very fast. They're zero errors pretty much. So it will save them a lot of time and effort on the long run and help them scale.
So quick question, is this a form of artificial intelligence?
Yes, this can feed into artificial intelligence because a lot of companies, they start using RPA to fetch that data and build their models and algorithms. But yes, this can lead to artificial intelligence. Peter.
And and I would assume that the return on investment and the payback for this is pretty tremendous.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we always perform a full analysis. Commodities are a little different, right? If we need paraphernalia, mugs, sweatshirts, t-shirts, we have vendors that we do utilize for that. And that's a sunk cost, right? It's gone. It helps us with advertising and promotion, but this we really analyzed, and the ROI and Saisystems assisted us with that as well. It's tremendous. It's actually a relatively quick turnaround on our investment as well.
We have seen the customers get an ROI within the first 3 to 6 months itself. And initially, when the large corporates were using this, but over the last 2 years, this has become so much of mainstream, and the technology has become so cheaper. We are using internally within Saisystems as well.
So Jerry, we know that Anthony is doing something for you at Brookline Place. Can you share with us what he's actually going to do?
Well, he has the whole building, janitorial services there. We were just speaking prior to logging on here. They started up last week, right, Anthony, inside that building. It just opened up. So there's just some other things that he needs to get done that I was unaware of and he was unaware of, but he's getting those things taken care of and stuff. And this is a great opportunity for him because now he has his foot in the door. There are going to be a couple of other new buildings that we're building, one out on 128 and one out in Weymouth. So when that particular RFP goes out, he'll have an opportunity for that because he's already in-house. So his business can grow. This is right now, it's a current 3-year contract and stuff. And I'm very proud of Anthony and DRB Facility Services right now.
So Peter, now it's time for me to start bugging him again on the new buildings. I'm thinking I call him maybe every other week and ask him what's up with the new building. So, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Peter.
So Anthony, one of the promises of minority business development is that it creates and maintains jobs, especially color. Is that going to be true with this particular contract?
Yes, and this is different. This is an add-on to jobs that were not existing, because normally in my industry, if you take over a building, and that's what I try to explain to people, if I take over your building and you have 100 employees in there on the cleaning side, through the union, which I'm a part of the union, those cleaners have the right of first refusal. So I usually bring those cleaners over with me and filter them through and see if they're good, retrain them and get them ready. But in this case, this is a brand new building. So I'm hiring people who may not have been working and put them in. You know, usually what I do is I take people from another site that's already trained in my systems and I bring them to the new site, and I'll hire new people for the site which I'm already in and controlling, and have other people who can work with them. So yeah, this is adding new jobs, and so this is a good situation.
So Anthony, as we start to ease up on COVID restrictions, do you think the contract will generate more work, or is it going to be about the same?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you said it.
Will this contract generate more work as we continue to ease up on COVID restrictions?
Well, I know that we're kind of set with the staffing levels that's required for this size building. So I guess it would come from Children's Hospital if they want to ask for additional services. I know a lot of the companies are asking for the disinfecting services, and they might want additional cleaning above and beyond what the initial scope called for. But I think that's on their end, on the client's end, to request that pretty much.
So Jerry, you know, one of the things I keep telling people across the network is that if you have support for what you do from the top, it makes your job easier. Now, I realize that this relationship started in 2018, but I'm happy to report that Boston Children's Hospital has a new CEO that's a person of color. Going forward, do you think that will magnify the ability of what you're trying to accomplish in terms of doing business with diverse vendors?
Absolutely. And not only that, supply chain was already making those type of moves. We saw that this was going to be something big moving forward. We know what happened back in 2020 with everything that was going on with the police, which has been going on for centuries anyway and stuff. Mm-hmm. But this right here helps us with our anchor initiatives too. Boston Children's Hospital being a institution that's a large institution in the city of Boston, to work with Black and brown businesses and giving them an opportunity. That ACE supplier program, diversity program we have, I developed that after my first year being in the position, seeing what everybody else in the industry was doing, and it's gonna create other opportunities. And I wanna say this, the Panther Group was the first diverse supplier that I had come into Boston Children's Hospital to do a presentation to our HR department. So I just want you to know that, Sion, that Allison Parker and I also at that Gillette meeting with Anthony. So we have a connection with the Panther Group as well.
I'm very familiar with that, Jerry. Very familiar.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that if you join the council for any business, that those opportunities are gonna come. It takes time, and that's the same thing I told Allison, same thing I told Anthony. Our new CEO, he is all for this. My management team, senior management team is all for this. So opportunities are going to come not only just on a local level, but also on a regional level and on a national level. And I'm already in discussions with zones. And I know that you all know zones as well. And that relationship has been almost like a 7-year trying to get back into Boston Children's Hospital. And right now they're going to be working on one of our other new buildings with our IT department for asset management, tagging and imaging of our PCs. So, and this is real. When you join councils like the Greater New England Minorities Supplier Development Council, they do provide you opportunities with corporations that are really, really want to have engagement with MBEs.
If I can add, Peter, as well. So with Jerry and the Panther Group, we're very optimistic that we'll actually have business and be able to work with Boston Children's Hospital. To Jerry's, again, the original point, these relationships take time, and it certainly isn't due to any lack of efforts on Jerry's part. Has been instrumental in assisting us in navigating, the ins and outs of Boston Children's Hospital. And, a part of it is patience, and life is about timing, right? And when the timing hits, I'm sure Jerry will inform us of the opportunity. Allison is in close contact, remains in touch. We can't say enough about the efforts that he's helped us with Panther, and we think it will come to fruition.
That's great to hear. So, I'm really excited about this relationship with Sion and Chirag, the Panther Group and Saisystems, because MBE to MBE commerce is a big opportunity, not just here in New England, but throughout our network, throughout the 12,000 minority businesses that have been certified. Here in New England, 42% of our MBEs have less than $1 million in revenue. So while Saisystems and Panther are both very large MBEs, I see a great opportunity for those MBEs that have less than $1 million in revenue to sell their goods and services to larger MBEs, like Saisystems and Panther. But as I sort of throw that out there, what challenges do you see in making that, a real broad reality across our network?
me, Peter, I can say, because I have been talking to a few companies within the last couple of weeks on the supplier side. As a janitorial service provider, I have to buy, there's a lot of supplies that I use. So I've talked to Gordon Thompson, Westnet, and I talked to a few other companies, I'm drawing blank, about buying from them. And I also feel like I'm obligated, like I have a responsibility to buy from them. So the point, when I talked to Gordon last week, his thing, he said to me, listen, I don't want to have you buy supplies from me if you have to pay more than what you pay from somebody else. And I said to him that I don't expect that to be the case, but if it is the case, for me to do business with you, if it's a little bump up, I don't mind that, but the thing is, what I found is the cost was a little more. And it's to be expected. I mean, if somebody else another non-diverse company is buying in greater bulk, they're going to most likely have a lower price. And so, so I told, Gordon that I was willing to make that sacrifice and to buy from him. And so that's the thing, the margins are tight when you go into certain jobs anyway in my industry. So for me, I can't afford to give away too much of that, but I am willing at this point to say, hey, I want to do business with diverse companies. And even if it costs me a couple of dollars more. And so Marianne Lancaster, I drew a blank on Marianne. She's going to kill me, but she's another one that I talked to. And I'm trying to work out something with her to start buying supplies to support another MBE. So,
Peter, I would add to that as well. It's almost a converse type of situation I see. So, larger MBEs look to corporations, say, give us a shot, give us a chance, level playing field, just hear my pitch, let us try to sell to you. Large MBEs have to do the same with smaller MBEs. Right. Take the time, take the effort, research, find out who's selling what. Is it a commodity or service that you can utilize? Give them the opportunity to sell them to you. And it's an active process, right? It's not passive. Many times the smaller MBEs don't have the marketing budget, are not as active in advertising their wares. But we can take the effort to search out those MBEs and to contract with them, if the business opportunity is there. But it's more of an active effort. Yeah, I think we have to.
The other thing is, the other part is working with them and mentoring them. I had a distribution issue. I had one company that would drop supplies at locations. And then I talked to some other companies and they say, we're not qualified to do that. We can ship it to one central place and then you could distribute it from there. But the distribution piece was also an issue where I try to work with the other companies, with a diverse company, and say, hey, why don't we try to figure out a way where you can get product to where I need it to be delivered, or in their case, I'll work with them to have it shipped to where it needs to be shipped, to the point where they are big enough to be able to do that. So, that was another hold up for me too, but we're working through it.
Again, not to add too much more, but I would also offer to smaller MBEs, engage or at least have a conversation with a Saisystems, right? So you're looking to maybe hire staff, but these processes may be manual processes.
Yeah,
Saisystems can help you automate. Right? Now, there's a cost involved with that, but there's a cost involved with hiring staff as well. So think outside of the box and for ways to, and technology is definitely the future, right? Or the present and the future. AI, I mean, it's just growing exponentially. To really consider that, to engage with other MBEs that have that vision and that foresight to assist you in your operation.
I want to take over Peter's job. Real quick, Peter, I want to say this. during this period, this COVID period where things slowed down, I noticed for myself and a lot of other companies have taken advantage of this time to upgrade their systems, to look at where they can make infrastructure changes. How can I better, bring on another company to help me with the processes that I have to make my company better. And the other thing is being able to invest, in the company and saying, hey, I want to grow my company. So I'm going to have to spend, like you said earlier, Sion, you had to spend the money knowing that in the long run that it was going to save you and it was going to put you in a better position. It's easier said than done, but having access to capital is another area that Peter, stresses. And so I would say if you could put those together, the access to capital, working with companies on infrastructure, how you can better provide to your customers, is something that people need to look at. And also the accounting system is critical. A lot of smaller companies, they don't take the accounting systems, they don't take it as serious as you have to, and that's why a lot of us didn't get the PPP money, because our systems weren't up to speed where the banks are saying, hey, we can work with you. So, it's a lot going on, and I'm willing to mentor any company out there. And I know Peter has a lot of access to people who can offer help. But
so that's a quick question. In terms of MBE to MBE commerce, what else does GNE need to be doing now to make that more successful? Basic part of the reality of this space.
In my opinion, Peter, I think the GNE is as simple as advertising your successes. And I think there's so much that the GNE provides for all sides, all categories of MBEs that the word is not necessarily getting out, and or a lot within our network don't realize they have access to. The information, the capital, the resources, the entire MBE network within our region. Yes. So I really think it's more just getting the word out. I think GNE is doing a tremendous job. Of course, there's more we all can do, right? We all can do. My challenge to MBEs is to reach out to other MBEs and provide opportunities. It's an active measure. It's not a passive measure. It's an active measure. We all have to be committed and perform in that way.
Chirag?
As we were talking, great points from Anthony and Sion about the technology enablement, the access and everything. I would say it just lines up to 3 A's, and I'm just making this up from my experiences with GNEMSDC and interacting with other MBEs. It's the access, get the right access to the network through GNEMSDC. The awareness, that there is awareness about, how you can get access to capital, how you can get awareness of what Anthony's company is doing, what Sion is doing, what Jerry Epps is doing, what Saisystems is doing, right? You have all that awareness of where the network is. And the third one is alignment. Like, how can you complement another MBE, another corporate partner? That alignment is very important. And going back to awareness, also knowing, right? I know leaders like Sion, Anthony, Peter, yourself. I know Jerry spoke about it as well from the corporate side, even Dr. Ramesh. Right? I know they're always telling their teams that, listen, we need to do more with diverse business. We've worked with Madison, with Daniel Penn Associates. We work with another MDs, always exploring like how we can complement each other, how we can take this further. So again, the 3 things is access, awareness, and alignment, which is very important. And alignment of values as well as, what benefit we can give to the customer together.
Thank you. Jerry, I'm going to give you the last word. What advice would you give to MBEs and to other corporations who are trying to find and use diverse businesses? How can they all be more effective in making sure that we go from, we now have 270 MBEs in New England with $2.9 billion in revenue. How can we triple that?
How can you triple that? Good one. Well, I got a sign in my office. I think you saw it, Peter. Anthony has saw it as well. Good things come to those who hustle, but it's about how you hustle. Like you said earlier, do MBEs be overbearing and stuff like that? In some cases, that's everywhere. It's not just on diverse suppliers. That's every supplier and stuff like that. Just develop the relationship so that a corporation can feel that they can trust you. And you can also show the ability outside of doing relationship with the corporation, where you're got the ability where you're demonstrating what you're doing with outside of doing business with Boston Children's Hospital, but with other corporations. I can just say with Sion, because I met Allison a couple of times and we've been out, but also a friend of mine's got hired by the Panther Group. And she expressed how great that company was. And then after her term with the Panther Group, she got hired permanently with that company. And just recently, and I'm looking on the employee side, and just recently she got a job with the Federal Reserve. And she is very grateful for the Panther Group for giving her an opportunity after she worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield for 15 years. And she said that working with the Panther Group was an easy process. So that type of information, word of mouth, gets out to like people that are looking for a place to go, that, with unemployment being as high as it is in the state right now, if they need a job, they can go to an organization like the Panther Group and get that opportunity and stuff like that. And that's demonstrated. That touches me, because the Panther Group took a chance on my friend and provided her that opportunity. So the word of mouth is that if other businesses ask me about the Panther Group or ask me about DRB, I can let them know. Gordon Thompson over at WestNet, they're contracted with Boston Children's Hospital, and you just got to be good at what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. So Jerry, that was just beautiful. And I like the hustle part, because I really do think in 2020, corporate America made a lot of statements after the George Floyd death and other, unfortunate deaths and the inequitable impact of COVID-19. But we got to, sort of move from conversation to getting things done. And I really want to thank each and every one of you, not only for appearing today on this panel, but each one of you. I can tell the audience, you're focused on getting things done. And together, your efforts are going to make our community stronger. You're going to help eradicate this racial wealth gap. And I want to thank you for appearing today. And I want to thank you for what you do each and every day, getting things done.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our families, our jobs, our schools. These are the communities we serve. And whether it's the current health crisis or whatever comes next, CVS Health is here, delivering care, clinical guidance, and peace of mind. Since our first COVID-19 testing sites launched, we've administered millions of tests, and that's just the beginning. At CVS Pharmacy locations and beyond, we've made testing more accessible and convenient, especially for our most vulnerable populations. Now, as communities begin to come back together, we're here to help. For businesses, we're developing testing plans to help bring employees back to the workplace. For universities, we're designing custom testing strategies to ease the return to campus. And for all of us, that means that as we return ready.
You know, I'm often asked, where is Boston Scientific moving in the future, and how does this relate to diversity and inclusion? And one of the things you'll always hear me continuously say is that we set the bar high, and we keep it high. It's about progress over time, not overnight. And we're working toward getting greater representation at every level at Boston Scientific. But more importantly, we want to create a culture of inclusivity. We must continue to evolve to ensure we have the right leaders in the right place at the right time to drive innovation at every level and enrich our workplace with diversity and inclusion for everyone.
Good morning. I'm Peter Hurst, the President and CEO of the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council. I am happy to introduce our next panel, Bridging a World of Opportunity. This panel will feature representatives of two of our corporate members, Monette Knapik of CVS Health and April Cimorelli, who after a number of years at Staples just joined MassMutual. Kate Weaver from Peapod Digital Services will moderate this panel. Please join us as we get started with Bridging a World of Opportunity.
Hi, and thank you, Peter, for introducing us, and thanks everyone for joining today. We're so happy to be here with you hosting this Bridging a World of Opportunity panel. As Peter mentioned, my name is Kate, and I'm here with my two esteemed colleagues on this panel that I've known for many years, April and Monette. And before we really get into the grit of this panel, I was hoping that each of our panelists would speak about their supplier diversity journey, how they got started in this wonderful profession. Monette?
Hi, Kate. Hi, April. I'm super excited to be part of this panel, and thank you for asking that question. I've been with CVS Health for over 17 years, and 10 of which I've been involved in our supplier diversity program. As a procurement professional, you know, it's a great opportunity for us to engage diverse suppliers and include them in our supply chain and our RFP activity. So I'm proud to be, you know, part of that team and program that we have at CVS.
Great. April?
Amazing. Hi, I'm April Cimorelli. I have been in the supplier diversity world for a little over 10 years now. About 10 years ago, I was invited to a GNEMSDC expo where I had the opportunity to meet a bunch of diverse businesses And I knew at that moment that this was a journey I needed to take. And I have been trying to help the best I can with diverse businesses to help them succeed for literally close to 10 years now.
I often say to people who don't know what supplier diversity is, I explain what I do, I explain this world, explain how long I've been doing it, and then I say, it's kind of one of those things. Once you're in, it's in your blood. It's hard to leave. So it's a very rewarding, tough road to climb, but very rewarding profession within corporate America. Okay, without further ado, let's give the people what they want to hear. One of the first things that I wanted to ask you both about is, what products or services, does your company look for currently, and just what are things that are just off the table that you actually have no need for?
That's a fantastic question. So, as our business evolves, we're constantly looking at new products and services across our enterprise. So we really don't rule anything out, Kate. I mean, we're really inclusive of any product and service that's really innovative, that's new. And again, as we've gone through this pandemic, I've seen some success stories that we can probably talk about later, that really ties back to why we need to be open to any and all possibilities. And our registration portal that we'll talk about again a little later really is where we want people to reach out to us and let us know, what differentiates them from maybe an incumbent we have today.
And I will second that as well. The only thing I would add is, business is constantly changing, just as Monette said. So just because we don't need it today and we say there's not a need right now, doesn't mean that's not going to change in 6 months. So it is crucial to go back to that registration portal. We do need to make sure that those registration portals are kept up to date, because that is where we're researching to find those businesses that when our sourcing team comes to us and says there's an opportunity, we need to be ready to turn around and provide that information as quick as we possibly can. And if your information is outdated, we're going to need to move on. And that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're giving everybody an opportunity. But again, as business needs are constantly changing, so isn't what we need.
I don't know if potential suppliers, both diverse and non-diverse, really believe us when we talk about those portals. I mean, I log into ours more often than I do my personal checking account, those and the diversity advocacy databases. So totally agree that it's absolutely a must keep it updated. Okay, so how does a potential diverse supplier go about doing business with your company? Specifically, you've talked about the portals, but then and what else? Well, what else do they need besides just going in and registering their information?
Do your homework. Do your homework. There is so much information that's available to suppliers to find out about CVS Health and all our lines of business, our enterprise. People frequently see us as your neighborhood CVS pharmacy, which is great, but we are so much more. So go to our website. Review our CSR report, go to the supplier diversity website, and maybe even visit, one of the stores if it's something that's a product that you want to get on the shelf. Like, just do your homework before reaching out to us. And then again, we talked about the registration portal. It's not a black hole for us. We use it. It's the first place we go before we reach out to the advocacy groups when we're looking for suppliers to meet a particular RFP or some sourcing exercise. And then email us. We have a supplier diversity at cvshealth.com. You can email us, send us your capability statement. We can talk about that later on. And then, if there's a fit, if it's the right timing, whatever, we'll schedule an exploratory call with you, but do your homework.
I second that as well. Know what direction the business is going in that you're reaching out to. Ensure that when you are reaching out, you know how you're going to be a fit and how you can bring a benefit to that company, because you need to differentiate yourself from everyone else, right? What are you going to bring to the table that is going to make you stand out? And then that timely follow-up is crucial. So it is the registration portal. It is following up with an email to supplier diversity and I'm going to generalize what company, because I think just about every company out there has a supplier diversity mailbox at this point. It's following up in a timely a timely manner and making sure that if you see a change in our business, you're responding on how you're going to help, because that's going to help, again, you stand out.
Great. So both of you have both touched on this, but how important is the certification piece? We're obviously preaching to the choir. We have probably everyone who's watching today are certified MBEs. If they're not, we hope they get certified right. But how important is that to have that when you're approaching a company and when you're entering your information in the portal?
For us,
do you want to go first?
For us, you need to have it. We do require a certification. There are many different situations in which we are utilizing diverse suppliers with certifications to meet a business need. So we do need that certification. And if you don't currently have it, we will ask you what your plan is to obtain it. We understand it's time, it's money. We want to be aware of that, and we want to support the best we can, but we do require that certification.
We do as well, and we encourage you to keep them updated. You know, everybody's busy and you're running a business, and maybe it's not, you know, on the forefront of your mind that, you know, your certification is going to be expiring. It's really important to us. We, you know, report to, you know, not just internally, but externally, and the certification is critical.
Absolutely. And one other thing, Kate, if you don't mind me adding, one thing that we do tell, and Monette, I'm sure you do the same, and Kate as well, when businesses are going for their certification, because it is time, it is money, we do say whatever other certifications you would qualify for at that time, that's the time to do it, right? You have all the information there, you have everything at your fingertips. Apply for whatever certifications you can at the same time, so then you're not redoing it in a couple months.
Yeah, the certification is a key differentiator. And for us, our certified diverse suppliers are extended better payment terms. So it's a great marketing tool. It's an advantage for you when we're scoring our suppliers in responding to RFPs. You know, there is some points that are awarded to diverse suppliers. So the certification is really important, and it's one of many differentiators.
And exactly to that, and it helps us achieve certain business goals. It could be winning a different contract. It could be a bunch of different opportunities coming down the road. So we do 100% require that certification.
I was likening a certification to kind of, and some people will realize this, maybe some younger people watching won't know what I'm talking about, but there used to be a thing called the Yellow Pages that go out. There would be this big book that would be delivered to homes and businesses that would have ads for businesses. And if you paid extra, you could have a little square ad instead of just your name and your phone number. And I feel like certification is a little bit like that, and that it just kind of raises your company's awareness just a little bit in that whole long list of very similar businesses. And also, there was one other thing I wanted to say, that I do believe certifications have extra benefit as opposed to just the business, just the benefit of getting in the door. I know at our company, we were given the opportunity to give Tuck scholarships. And I was told that I needed to identify 20 NMSDC certified diverse owned suppliers. And I was like, I can do that. It was very easy for me to do because, you know, I was able just to filter on that and think of the great deserving diverse owned businesses that weren't NMSDC certified or had let their certification lapse that missed out on that opportunity.
Well,
okay,
I can also get us.
Right. I could go on and on about the virtues of certification. I'm sure we all could. Okay, so we've talked about certifications. We've talked about registering the portal. We've talked about knowing the business, doing your homework, and having just all your ducks in a row. Let's talk about, Monette mentioned it earlier, a capability statement. Said have that ready. Well, what is a capability statement?
So I'll get started in April. You can chime in too. But for me, it's typically a one page or a double-sided page, right? It provides the highlights about the company, their area of expertise, you know, who are their customers, what region, geography, whatever that they're covering, what's their competitive advantage, You know, it's just really just it's kind of like that elevator pitch on a piece of paper, right? And it's super helpful when we receive this via an email. We get bogged down with enough emails, so let's be really quick, concise, and say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is the value I can bring to you.
A capability statement is a one-pager. It's a one-page selling sheet. So how you're going to sell your company to my company. It basically, and I want to be able to have that so I can forward it on to the appropriate buyer so they can just do a one click, review it, and see what they're looking at and who they're dealing with and make the decision from there.
And I mean, the little video clips are always good, right? But nothing replaces that just tried and true capability statement. And by all means, I mean, if the capability statement has the contact information at the very bottom and they have like the wrong like website or an email address that like it bounces back, or the URL is like broken. Isn't that just horrible?
Mm-hmm. Well, in the link, you know how in a lot of the emails, people love to do, click this link. We cannot click that link because our IT department tells us no. We are blocked from doing all of that. So again, the one pager, it may seem old school to some people, but it really is the way to go.
No school like the old school. Okay. So let's talk about the age-old question as people say, well, wait, I'm small. I mean, is there an opportunity for a business my size in this big corporate supply chain? I can't do these national contracts. So I'll ask that to both of our panelists. What about small suppliers?
Monette, we don't like to use the word small because sometimes a small supplier is the perfect fit at the right time for what we're looking for, right? So it really depends on products and services. If I'm looking for somebody locally, regionally to clean our facilities, you can, be a small scale, 10-person company, and you can fit our needs. If I was looking for somebody to support our whole chain of 10,000 stores, that would be different, right? So we really don't measure by, large and small. It really depends on the product and service that we're looking for that supplier to fulfill.
I would also add the same exact thing. We're not going to say, it depends on the business need, right? We're never going to put your business in a negative situation. So if it is an opportunity that maybe it doesn't make the best financial sense for your company at that time, we will say, how about partnering with a larger, diverse vendor? How about finding a different way that we can bring you in? Because we want to make sure it's a positive experience for everybody involved. We want you to succeed. We also want to help you get your foot in the door. So we might have to strategically think outside the box on how we can get there. But at the end of the day, it is our job to figure out how we help you get there.
I thank you for saying that, April. That is a really good point with the partnerships with some of our primes. Our tier 2 program is just as important to us as our tier 1 program. And so maybe as a smaller firm, you can't handle our contract terms, right? Indemnification, the amount of insurance you need, the payment terms that maybe we have, but maybe in partnership with a larger firm gives you the opportunity to get in, to learn, to potentially grow. So I strongly encourage the partnerships with some of our larger primes. And I agree with you. I think it's the supplier diversity professionals' responsibility to kind of help and make that happen.
Absolutely. And thinking about those relationships, especially in corporate America, there's a lot of long-term vendor relationships, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's hard to break that. So coming in and saying, okay, you're not going to take over the business, but maybe you can work with vendor A and get 5-10% of that business. And we can start grooming you. So down the line, maybe you can take that business over. So there's a lot of different ways to think about it and look at the situation.
Right. And I think set expectations, right? We probably have an incumbent that's providing the product or service you're offering. And we're probably in an agreement with them for 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So, what differentiates you? Why would we leave that incumbent, to your point, April, that we've been doing business with for so long and have had great successes with? What would we what decision would we have to make that switch? So it takes time. You know, it's not instantaneous. I've seen suppliers that I've met at conferences and have spoken to for years, and finally the right opportunity presented itself, but it can take years. And sometimes it may not be a match at all.
Yeah.
That's a perfect lead in to our next topic, is because I know we have so many people that are watching this thinking, but I've done all this. I've registered on the portals. I've submitted my capability statement. It's crickets. How much longer do I have to do this? So we all know, just as you said, you gotta play the long game. But I want us to touch on where we have actually seen some really awesome supplier diversity successes. We want to give people hope, to tell them that, yes, actually, this does work. That's why we have people like us in companies as supplier diversity practitioners, because we know that this does work. Can you each share some supplier diversity success stories that you've witnessed?
I would love to jump in, because I have one that I enjoy sharing because it's very recent. It's very near and dear. A woman-owned product called Tempgenics. It's actually, I just want to make sure I say it correctly, it's a temp and toss paper forehead thermometer. And they actually went through our Roger Williams University in partnership with CVS. We extend an executive learning series program, and they participated in our program a few years ago. And, you know, on the panel, when they, you know, present their capabilities in their sourcing event, they, you know, there wasn't an immediate need. We had thermometers in our stores, but then the pandemic happened, and we couldn't get enough thermometers on our shelves. And the beauty of this product is it stays on your forehead for 24 hours. So if you have a child in bed and you don't want to wake them up, but you want to check their temperature. So it just exploded. We now have, they were the top 13th best item in our cold and remedies category, and it's now in 5,300 stores. What a story. I love talking about them.
That's great. That's a really exciting one, and I need to get that. We too have a lot of different stories, and again, the pandemic has changed a lot of things, right, for everybody involved. We have a vendor on the OP side that honestly we were starting to move away because we had a larger vendor that had the same products type of thing, and with looking at our assortment over the past year especially, this vendor has stepped up with different products that have helped, you know, different hand sanitizers and stuff like that every business needs. And so we were able to take that vendor from very little sales to now they are doing very well, which I am extremely excited about. We also, you know, with us, we utilize vendors for everything, product services, even services that are front facing to the customer. So courier services, we were able to utilize a courier that was primarily in New York and New Jersey. And this is an MBE in the New York, New Jersey area. And an opportunity came up to fulfill customers' needs in the PA market. And our transportation team was just going to utilize our normal courier system. And I pushed back and said, why don't we give this courier a chance to expand into PA? Why would we not do that? And now this courier is taken PA with a storm, and our transportation team is like, what else can we give them? I said, well, let's let them succeed in PA. And then we could, you know, we don't want to overwhelm them, but there's a lot of stories like that. So, and I have been working with this courier for almost 10 years. So, you know, and they're just getting another state, but it was the right time. So it's all about patience. Sometimes it's frustrating. We understand. We wish we could give everybody the business yesterday. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a jog. It's not a dash. And we just need to do the journey together.
I actually have one, and I know this wasn't planned, that I as the moderator wasn't supposed to share any success stories, but I just have one. I think you would both enjoy it, plus our audience. Years and years and years ago, when I was very, very young, I used to be like a Peter Hurst myself. I used to run one of the supplier diversity advocacy regional councils. This is so many years ago. And I remember getting a business that was applying for certification. And I remember were looking at what they did, and they did promotional products and gift baskets. And I sighed to myself. I thought, oh, great. That's all we need is yet another one of these companies, because we just had so many. I asked them why they were applying for certification. And they said that they had several of their current clients that had asked them to get certified. Understandable. So I kind of worried that there wouldn't be any potential new business for them, because it seemed a very saturated field. But I thought, hey, they're fulfilling a customer request. Hope it'll bring them more business within those particular companies, right? So went ahead, processed the certification. They got certified. I met up with the business owner at our holiday event, and they were ecstatic. Their business had tripled. And I said, wow, because your current customers were starting to throw you more business because you finally got certified. I was hopeful that would happen. And they explained the most intelligent, savvy thing that they did to grow their business. And I want to pass this on. I've passed it on for years, but I thought it might be a nice little nugget to share. What they did is they took like I said, they did gift baskets, and they obviously had records within their, I don't know, they're like shipping, whoever method is, they could pull up all the companies and business locations and recipients that they had shipped their gift baskets. And they did a reverse lookup. They were like, which of all these places that we've shipped to have supplier diversity programs? Is that genius? I didn't even give them this idea, okay? And they came up with this. They contacted the supplier diversity managers at those companies, and they said, hey, just wanted you to know, we've sent gift baskets to your executives like 16 times over the past couple months, and we're a certified diverse-owned company. Here's our certificate. It doesn't look like you've ordered our services. It's been someone else, but it's come to you. And just wanted to give you an example of what I've done. And they've picked up business that way. So I thought it was brilliant. And that's kind of something that people don't think about how you can use your supplier diversity certification. It's a business development tool. It's a tool in your arsenal, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. I'll impart that on some other
I know, I was feeling that too.
Okay, so let's go to the exact opposite side of the coin. Let's talk about the dark side, the taboos. What are some taboo behaviors that you've seen in the past from diverse suppliers?
Ooh, April. There's quite a few, but I would say first and foremost, we talked about homework, right? So don't approach me and talk to me about something that really has nothing to do with my business. So do your homework, right? Don't try to be everything to everyone, right? Find your sweet spot. Find what it is that differentiates you. Find what's innovative for you. Don't say, oh, and by the way, I also do this. Oh, I also do promotional products. Yeah, no, I just want what you do best. April, we've talked about this before. Maybe a little bit too much follow-up. I do like the occasional follow-up because sometimes that person reached out to me at just the right time where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we got something going on here. But if you're reaching out like over and over and over again, I almost put you in the naughty list. So reaching out maybe quarterly, twice a year. Again, remember, we have 3 to 5 year contracts in place. So if I tell you follow up with me like Q2 of next year, you don't need to reach out to me between now and then. Reach out to me in Q2. So just, take the lead from the supplier diversity professionals.
Yeah, be patient. Be patient. In corporate America, it's a very convoluted structure, right? There's a lot of steps, there's a lot of processes, there's long contracts in place, like Monette just said. So it takes time. And be respectful. Right. We have typically with supplier diversity professionals, it's a one-person show or maybe a two. So coming back at me a couple times a week and trying to throw time on my calendar when I honestly haven't gotten to that first email yet because you just sent it 2 days ago. Be respectful, please. Because honestly, like Monette said, you want to set the right impression. And timely follow-up is really the way to go. Every couple months, just, hey, checking in. Has anything changed? Or, hey, checking in. I saw in the news that this happened with your company. could I be of a help with that? That is professional. That is helpful. And you're helping me succeed. And then be conscious of who you're reaching out to. This is another one. Just because I responded to you that I don't think there's a need at this time, because that's what the business, the decision maker had said, doesn't mean you should go to my boss and my boss's boss and then the CEO of the company. That you're not going to get a different answer. So I would strongly suggest, again, be professional. We understand you want the business. We want to help you get that business. So we just want to make sure that we're in it together. We are a team, and just be respectful.
Yeah. One other thing I would add, we talked about the registration portal. I can't tell you how many suppliers don't complete it.
I know.
And so when the opportunity does present itself and we're, partnering with our sourcing professionals and we go into that database, I don't have time. If you didn't put the right email or the right contact or the right website, I think Kate, you were saying, we don't. Sometimes our sourcing schedule and guidelines are rather brief or quick. And so I need to be able to go in there and keep your certifications up. That's another one. We go in and it expired. We don't have time to chase those down. So, go into the registration portal, keep it updated, right? As your capabilities change, or like you were talking about, April, where now, beyond New Jersey, they're taking on Pennsylvania, update your profile to tell us your geography, your footprint, or what's changed. We really do use that portal.
Absolutely. And I think I've kind of mentioned to my colleagues about how much email I get. And I think they probably roll their eyes and they go, oh yeah, me too. I don't think anyone realizes how many emails a supplier diversity practitioner gets. I mean, a slow week would be 50 prospective emails just on IT services. I mean, that'd be a slow week. And I'm just grouping just IT. It just is nonstop. And so it's good to get those emails. I bucket them, I respond accordingly, but it's a huge volume. So to April's point about, I'd like to schedule some time to meet. No, don't have any time to eat. I don't have any time to get up myself and go get a bite to eat for myself, let alone meet. So, and I know that that's a hard thing to hear, because diverse suppliers know that they need to make that connection. But that's why getting involved in conferences like this, matchmakers, all those other events are those great times, right?
Correct. Absolutely. And we will 100% take you up on that meeting when there's an opportunity. We want to make sure that we are utilizing your time effectively and our time effectively. So as soon as there's that business need for it, don't you worry, we will set up that meeting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were talking about the registration portal, and I don't want to belabor it, because the one thing I hear from diverse suppliers is they always roll their eyes and say it's a black hole. And I think the issue is that all corporations have one. Well, what are tips on how to kind of like streamline that process? I mean, should diverse suppliers hire an intern, and that's like the only thing they do is register on supplier diversity portals all day, every day? Or like, I don't know. And I don't know if this is a question that this panel, alone can like fix, but how can a diverse supplier like manage all those portals?
Well, why do all those portals? Right. You really need to think about who is your customer. Which companies are you, even like when we go to the events, right? And you've got like all this, we're all at a booth, right? You're not going to hit up all those booths. You're going to circle. These are the, top 10. I feel like the registration portal should be the same thing, because I agree, it is a lot of work. And if you're going to update it and maintain it, well, why are you registering with everyone, right? Remember, we go to the portal first, but we go to the advocacy group second. So we're going to the Greater New England Supplier Development Council. We're going to NMSDC. We're going to WeBank. We're going to NGLCC. And asking them as well to help us to source the suppliers. So it's not the only way, it's one way. So I would say just be a little more strategic in who you're going to register with.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Be strategic, choose your targets wisely, because you do need to maintain those systems. So maybe it's every 6 months checking, block out a couple of days, check all the different sites that you did register on, and just make sure everything is up to date. Or when you know your certification is coming up, like I know our portal sends out a notification 90 days prior. Correct. Your certification is going to be expiring. Please make sure that you're updated. And it's just making sure that you're paying attention to those. But again, you're not going to win the business everywhere, right? Because nobody can be everything to everyone. So target who you really, really want to focus on and make sure that it's up to date, because we are not, Monette and I are not the only ones, and Kate, you too, that utilize our registration portals for potential business. And we're all saying the same thing. So it really is, we need that information to be accurate. I know when I developed, when we went through our registration portal, I had them uncheck a lot of mandatory fields, because you're doing a lot. There's a lot of portals. So we actually customized it to make it easier to maintain with thinking of the person who's registering, because we know there's a lot of sites out there. We know, not only are you doing that once you win the business, then you have to do a VPA and everything else. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And we want to be respectful of that as well.
Okay, so let's take the focus off of the potential diverse supplier and let's focus inwards. Tell me about what you find as a supplier diversity professional. What's hard? What's challenging about this space? Your day-to-day and the battles and hills that you fight.
Gosh, I guess we don't consider it a challenge. We consider it an opportunity. And for us, it's to constantly, educate our lines of business, right? And the value proposition of supplier diversity. So, I can remember years ago, it was all about the spend. How much did you spend? How much did you spend? And it kind of frustrated me, because it's like, why is it just about that? And it was probably around that time that we started doing an economic impact report, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And Peter did one for, the Greater New England Council. And there's a direct correlation from that spend to the jobs it's creating, refueling money into the economy, paying salaries. And so that to me is more important than just the spend, because the spend has a correlation to the economic impact. And taking that story and sharing it with our leadership so they can see, we're very focused on, helping people on their path to better health. And we want our suppliers to resemble our customers, our clients, and the communities that we're in. So how better to show the value, but to show the impact the spend is having. So the challenges or the opportunity is to just keep spreading that message. And again, we're a very large organization, and to get to all those decision makers is not easy. It's like what April was saying. It's navigating a big company is a challenge for us. So opportunity.
I second that exactly. I was going to say, we don't consider it a challenge, it's an opportunity, right? So just because if one door closes, there's another door to open. So it's constantly trying to figure out how we can help you succeed. And we came into a situation where I had one department that wanted to add more vendors, which we always appreciate. But I actually said to them, can we pause? And can we look at who we have? And can we see how we can help those vendors grow first before we worry about bringing on more? I want to make sure that we have the vendors within our portfolio and we are helping them succeed and we are helping them grow. It's not about the numbers of vendors or, to Monette's point, the spend. It's about how we're helping them. Mm-hmm. How are we helping these businesses, especially in the past year? Constant conversations with, have we asked them how they're doing during this pandemic? Have we asked them how we can help them succeed? Have we seeing their financial structure. Do we know they're still viable? Like, and what can we do to help them? And that is our job. That is our job, to make sure that you're succeeding. So we understand, as supplier diversity professionals, we understand that you succeeding is crucial to the economy, and it's crucial to the communities in which we're all serving. If you're not in business, you're not buying product, you're not spending money, it's a whole circle effect, and you're not supporting my son's baseball team, which I really need you to do.
Right.
So, you know, there's all these things. And that's what I always say to everybody, to bring it back. I said, being in corporate America and having a job like this, it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We as supplier diversity professionals have the opportunity to have a positive impact on a business working in a corporation. So how are we going to help them? And it's these businesses, these small, mid-sized businesses, or even large, diverse businesses that are employing people, that are sponsoring our kids' sports. You know, I always say that you're going to see Joey's Pizzeria on the back of my son's jersey, or I'd say the town, but, you know, but I go on my soapbox, but we understand how important it is. And it is our job to help the internal buyers understand why. And it's all about the impact at the end of the day.
Well, you two are being both so nice and so cheery, because I thought y'all were going to go on a much darker, deeper road. And because you won't, I will. I'll just touch on it for just a second of it. Me all sunshiny, I'm going to take you deep. I would say one of the hardest challenges of supplier diversity in this role is, yes, you have to know your current diverse suppliers. You got to know their stories and their history with your own company so you can be advocates for them, right? You got to know about potential diverse suppliers so you can tee them up and have them ready for when that small little window of opportunity pops, you're ready. But you got to know about all your internal decision makers. You have to know about the mental approach that each of those internal decision makers need. I mean, on some of them, are you going to go to them and kind of maybe flatter them a little and appeal to their senses and try to get your diverse supplier in that way? Are you going to go to another one and kind of use the competitive approach and be like, well, that business unit is using a lot of diverse suppliers, you're not? Are you going to take another approach and use kind of a guilt? I mean, it's almost like love languages. I don't know if y'all have heard love languages. I use that term often. What with some of my inner circle is that I feel like I have to be a master love language kind of person to understand the individual stakeholders at my company and what approach it's going to take with them to get diverse suppliers in.
We say this all the time to our suppliers. We are influencers. We're not necessarily decision makers.
Yes.
And, you know, the good news is, and I'm sure you feel the same way, we do have the commitment from our senior leadership. Right. And that has been cascaded down to the businesses. But as we discussed earlier, they're tied to a particular incumbent, right? So how do you influence, how do you provide an opportunity for a diverse supplier in that type of environment? And yes, it takes some finesse, and it does take some influence. And buy them a cup of coffee. It does make a difference. And I think that's why, you know, just the three of us here, you see that enthusiasm. None of us went into this half-heartedly. We are passionate about what we do. We are passionate about our suppliers. We know the difference it is making. But yeah, we're influencers. We're not decision makers, because if we were, like, we'd be signing contracts every day if it was that easy.
It's all about the relationship. And to both your points, it really is. You have to constantly know the business need. You have to constantly know your people. You, at times, are the person right in the middle between that buyer, decision maker, and the vendor. If it's a current vendor that could be struggling and you're trying to help them understand each other, there are so many different hats that we wear. And again, just to the point of, so I guess that could be a challenge. Like, please understand all the different hats we are wearing. We, again, at the end of the day, are here to help you. And we want you to succeed. But again, there are so many different hats that we're wearing on any given day. And another thing that's crucial to just the supplier diversity programs in general that I always say is you need to have those champions. You need to have those internal champions in the different departments and the people who truly understand, because again, to Monette's point, there's a lot of longer contracts in place and stuff like that. And by having those diversity champions, they also help you pave the way into those departments for when those opportunities arise.
That's great. So I know, just without even having to think twice, that most people that are watching this are researching the two of you and perhaps even me. And maybe they're looking at us on LinkedIn and they're, you know, trying to connect with us and send us messages. And maybe they're sending us emails right now as they watch this. Is that the best way? How should they get in touch with us individually, or should they just reach out to our company's supplier diversity portals? Like, what is the preferred method?
If you reach out to my LinkedIn, I'm going to tell you for Staples related business or any company that I happen to be at, please contact me at supplier diversity at that company. My LinkedIn is my personal, that's my personal profile. So I am going to defer you to the supplier diversity at that time. Monette, you're probably the same, and then the same with the registration portal. If you feel your business is a fit for our business, please register. But again, if you're not quite sure, then reach out to our email box. And then that way we can have some correspondence back and forth and decide if it is worth your time to register.
Couldn't agree more. Go to the portal. The portal has, the mailbox. And again, it's not a black hole. It is generic in nature because it says supplier diversity at CVS Health. But Keith Eakins, who is our senior manager of the supplier diversity program, and his 3 team members continuously respond to those emails within, 2 to 3 business days, and give the supplier the appropriate direction based on what it is that they've been inquiring. Coming to me directly, I wear many other hats within enterprise procurement. So I really think your best avenue is to go to that mailbox, consider it generic, but it's not, because there are people behind the scenes maintaining, responding to those inquiries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't want to go to my email jail because as Kate said,
and sometimes, you were talking in April about IT, and sometimes some people's emails will end up in my spam. I don't even have time to look at my spam to find you and pull you back out. So sometimes going directly to a particular colleague doesn't always work.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Ed McMahon could have sent me an email telling me I've won $1 million and it went to spam, and that would have been long gone. I just realized I've showed my age. I've said Ed McMahon. I've said Yellow Pages. Oh, well. Well, I really think this panel has been great for a lot of reasons. One, it's given our viewers a chance to listen from these seasoned professionals, to hear tips and tricks. For people who have been certified and have been in this supplier diversity game for a long time, it might have been a refresher, but just think there are people that are brand new certified members. This is all brand new information for them, and they're taking notes. There are supplier diversity practitioners that are perhaps watching, listening to us old crows, hopefully getting some tips, and also nodding along because they're like, yes, this is also my life. So I hope we have imparted some good nuggets. I cannot thank Monette and April enough for sharing their wisdom with me and the rest of the GNEMSDC. This has been your Bridging a World of Opportunity panel, and we hope you use these insights to bridge opportunities of your own. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, April.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for day 1 of our 2021 Business Opportunity Conference. We hope you can join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock for day 2 of our conference. Thank you.